Yes, of course, it's me, Davide, your impertinent collector. But what am I doing here? Well, guys, this channel started as a commercial experiment, as it was an hands-on approach in learning and testing what was possible with YouTube. It's hard to believe that in the last 10 months, I collected over 600,000 views plus. Yes, of course, I have the 30 seconds views of the people who quickly say, "Oh God, if this guy is annoying." I can be annoying. I suppose everybody can when he's on camera and he's in your face. And then again, hundreds of videos every day make over 1 million views. So most likely there is nothing out of the ordinary in the content that I produce more or less regularly. But what I want to say to all of you, and I need to trust me, is that really what you see here is really what I am, who I am. I'm not manufacturing this persona just to capture your attention. That's who I am. And in that spirit today, I would like to share something with you that has been bothering me since I got back from my European holiday. Well, look, I'm certainly not the lazy type. I'm always doing something. But I have to acknowledge that I'm also incredibly ignorant, no matter how much effort I put in learning. In fact, on a regular basis, as I'm trying to educate myself, I discover things that I immediately realize I should have known way earlier. I don't know, maybe it happens to you as well. But as I learn new things, I also wonder, what else I don't know that is important? What am I missing? What is missing in my recipe? But in a sense, that is really what crushed me in my recent holiday. And so, if you wish to accompany me in this journey, listen up. Because like many times before, I found myself in Venice, a city that I absolutely adore and that I visited countless of times since I grew up just 30 kilometers away from it. But I was confronted this time by the fact that I couldn't use my ignorance for something that I knew already as an excuse. And my lack of laziness, as somebody who's always doing something, made me feel very shallow and superficial. What happened? Well, what happened is that I discovered the Biennale. And so I stood there on the main avenue in front of the main building and I asked myself, how did I miss this before? An international event born in 1895 and held in Venice since then, with no fail, and maybe during COVID. And an event that, unlike its name suggests, Biennale, is not really every 2 years, but every year. 1 year for architecture and 1 year for contemporary art, the very art expression that I fear the most, as I don't understand it. And this year was no different, as it was celebrating art under the title Foreigners Everywhere, Stranieri ovunque. And what you see in here now is what captured my attention in the hours where I wander from pavilion to pavilion. I start with saying that the Biennale, since its opening in 1895, has been considered the largest and most important contemporary art exhibition of the world. It represents the arts of over 100 countries, many of which have their own pavilion that they were able to build in Venice through the years, in the area that is between the Arsenale and Castello. You might think that showing art in Venice or in Italy or in Europe is really nothing new. But in reality, to set up a vast inclusive space for contemporary international artists was very much a first in 1895. And so giving artists exposure in one of the most visited cities in the world became an instant success. Think about the layering. And the formula was always about promoting the new, the modern, the challenging. In the 1920s, they showcased the avant-garde movement, and then the Impressionist, and the Post-Impressionist. They were so ahead of what is considered art and beauty that in 1922 they had a massive exhibition with African sculptures. But also through the years and earlier on, people like Klimt, Renoir, Courbet, Picasso, Chagall, Klimt, Braque, Magritte, and many more were there before they were famous. In fact, even my great-grandfather was invited to exhibit his paintings at the Biennale. Well, maybe there is some artistic juices that have trickled down after all. Even if I can't draw any line, all the members of my family are incredibly creative. Oh my God. But the Biennale has also always been and still is a place of controversy, a place where to express and publicly exhibit the unconventional, the vulgar, the outrageous, the experimental, the mystical, the cryptic, the boring for some. But it's also a space to manifest dissent and voice political anger. Yes, it seems that art and politics have always been intertwined through the centuries. It was inaugurated by the King of Italy, who was shot dead few years later by an anarchic. A monarchy that in the 1920s found himself under siege by the ambitions of Mussolini, and that when the war was started by Mussolini himself and it became clear that was lost, the same king from the same monarchy who appointed him in the first place had him arrested after he had invited him for lunch. How very Italian. And so, as you would expect, through the many cycles of history, Mussolini came and went, and so did the monarchy, as Italy became a republic in 1948. But the Biennale survived, evolved, and thrived, giving freedom to any possible protest against the Soviet Union, against Pinochet, against China, you name it. This year, in fact, the Israel pavilion was closed as the artists themselves didn't want to exhibit without a ceasefire in Gaza. So you walk there, you see the pavilion of Israel and it's closed. And how frustrated to know that the art is inside, but the public is not allowed in. Sometimes that's a mystery of knowledge. But it's an event and a space that not only is international, but is a place where Italy and Venice itself just provide a safe harbor for creating freedom. It's not, in fact, a nation within a nation. It's a free territory where you are allowed to like and dislike everything you see outside. And most likely within yourself. And that is something that troubles someone like me who always been in love with classicism. But it's also a space to discover how very much our national identity is just a fabrication, where the tourists, the artists, the merchant, and the organizers merge without a political identity or a national identity. They're all artists, they're all art lovers, we are all curious. And in fact, it's where the regular visitors find themselves at home, and yet they're hunting for the unexpected. But also where the first-time visitors like myself are confused, overwhelmed, astonished, bored, and frustrated. Oh yes, very frustrated. Because you need more time to see, more time to learn, more time to process. And because it is undeniably apparent that your existence is meaningless without experiencing what you didn't know before, and what, now that you know, you really can't understand. And that, my dear followers, that is what I call the artist within. And that's why I command the effort of any person who let the artist escape, knowing very well that consequences will follow, and that somehow adapt with a society that is highly regulated and restricted, because that is what is required for society to operate, will come and collect day after day. And so this is my emotions as I'm there in this incredible city by the water, and you very much feel that this massive exhibition is an island in a sea of controversy and, to a certain extent, how can I put it, polarization. And yet you walk with all these people from around the world, and somehow you clearly feel, can't we live this way in a place like this, in the Giardini, in the Castello, in the Arsenale where it's held, in this semi-mystical garden of knowledge, all together? Probably not peacefully, arguing even strongly, but with an opportunity to say, I'm against that, I don't like that, I despise that, and yet you are allowed to exhibit, you are allowed to expose, you are allowed to vent your own artist within. Oh, this is the impertinent collector. See you next time.